All right, and we are on the Liberalists interviewing Unsleeved Media. How are you, sir?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. My name's Frankie B, representing the Liberals for this interview, and yeah, we are doing fantastic. It's uh, it's been an interesting week. It's been a fun week, but I hear you've been having a lot of fun recently. Tell me more.
I mean, everything about life these days is fun. Um, so I guess by definition, then yeah, I really am. I'm not sure what you might be speaking of in specific.
Well, there was an event that happened where you lost your Patreon, you've had to basically create your own Patreon platform for yourself personally. I'm just wondering how the hell it all got that bad.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, the um, the 30,000 foot view version is after Magic 8, which we can talk about too if you want. Um,
Absolutely.
it became it was information was presented to me uh, about some potential offenders in the Magic the Gathering Judge program,
Holy
and
shit.
yeah, and about a dozen of them is about what I was able to out, maybe 13 or 14 by the time it was all said and done.
Wait,
And
13?
yeah,
13 like confirmed
yes.
child porn pedophiles.
Yeah, yeah. Varying degrees of, a 16-year-old doing something stupid to, absolute monsters, so to speak. Um, More of them were pretty degenerate. There were a few that were just, d being dumb. And in that process, I kind of went to war with the Magic Judge Association, which is like 7,000 people or something, because they didn't like that I was looking into them. And eventually, not just me, but everyone that was kind of joining the fight, forced Wizards of the Coast to enact a background check policy, which was a very simple request by us, a simple solution to at least keeping known uh,
I'm
child
sorry. I'm gonna
lovers.
interrupt you
Yeah,
just for 1 second. You were witch hunted for hunting pedophiles in an arena where children are obviously going to be present.
yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, the what happened was what an existing judge, and I should say many Magic judges agreed with me, but they were afraid of having their own group turn against them, and a lot of it
Holy
was,
shit.
yeah, a lot of people reached out to me in private. A lot of people, I had my own little like convention. A couple judges came to that, and they uh, didn't like that some of their own were turning against them, and so one of their judges leaked to me uh, the full list of judges. And this is not it wasn't didn't have like addresses or anything. It was basically full name and city. Um, it would be probably in the gray in terms of information, but I wouldn't consider it doxing because there's like 100,000 John Smiths in Miami. It's not, by
Okay,
definition.
so this list that these judges have of these individuals, what was it based on actual filed charges and convictions?
My list was, yes, everybody was convicted.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't like,
Oh my
"Hey, this
God.
guy has, like, a pedo smile." Like, these were people were convicted in the court of law and not on the national registry. So, they didn't like that I was looking into them. So, they used that and convinced Patreon that I doxed people, and they closed my account. How progressive. But,
Oh, that's wonderfully progressive. I mean, I just posted on the Liberalist page the video where a feminist is claiming that in order to change your child's diaper, you have to have consent.
oh, yeah, that's a great meme. Yeah.
And I'm looking at this going, okay, so now they're telling us that children can consent. What the
Oh,
fuck?
yeah, that is a slippery slope. That's Amos Yee territory. But yeah, the
Oh my God.
yeah,
Okay.
it was. I mean, really, I want to give most of the Judge Association the benefit of the doubt, but there were employees for Wizards of the Coast on certain websites that, like, quite literally published guides on how to get my Patreon banned, how to flag my Patreon. And I thought I had survived it because it was like 3 months later after like the dust had settled, and then all of a sudden Patreon just banned me. Um, and I found evidence, inside their judge group talking about mass flagging my account and whatnot. I didn't really care. It was like at the time maybe $700 a month. I put all of it back into the channel, so they hurt the channel, which bothered me, but it wasn't like I was living off of it. Um,
Well, I mean, they hurt your supporters. I mean, that's kind of like an attack on free speech. People wanted to give you money and support what you were doing, and so they freely gave their capital. And now they're saying, no, you can't support this person. I'm kind of a free speech absolutist. You say what you want, and
yeah, yeah,
your
I
money
agree.
is an extension of your speech.
Yeah, I mean, it was it's pretty crazy that like you know Uh, I mean, certainly by the definition, I didn't dox anybody, but Patreon was unwilling to hear it. And the angle that they played was that I uh, doxed minors, which, by the way, is no different. But um,
Dox the
again,
minors.
there shouldn't be any minors in the judge program anyway. These were just judges that the judge website freely prints their information. There's all sorts of public directories of these people. So it definitely was at worst ultra low calorie doxing. If you say, these people don't have any reasonable expectation of anonymity based on the fact that their names are publicly posted at every tournament. It's on websites, every event they work. So it really
Well,
wasn't.
I'm assuming that we can get more information from these people on the Find a Predator site from the government. Really?
Yeah, I mean everybody that I outed in maybe 3 or 4 different videos, they were all convicted, and I showed their convictions. Um, so
So they were already on a sex offender registry anyways. You
that's
could have done
correct.
more damage if you wanted to.
Yes, I could have. Um,
Okay.
and the thing was, I opened an anonymous tip line, which is what led to the first domino. And then once I was like, um, oh, you think that's bad? Here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one. And by the time I hit like 12 or 13, it was getting pretty insane. But had anybody else in the community brought up this issue of child safety, it would have been probably immediately adopted. But because it was me, and there are people that don't care for me, um, they fought it tooth and nail. And all I wanted was, hey, if you're going to be a magic judge or you're going to run a magic store, it's a reasonable expectations that you scan your employees for the National Registry. And I didn't think that I would get um any pushback. Like who would push against this? But certainly hundreds of magic judges did. We had stores outright publicly saying that they would not enforce this. Um, all sorts of insane stuff.
Uh, I'm sorry if there's a store that doesn't want to enforce, a common sense measure to basically protect kids. I mean, I'm not calling for violence, but economically they need to be burned. They just need to be taken out. I mean, who should do business there?
Yeah, it was weird because they the people that were speaking out against this were literally allowing their own personal dislike for me personally overrule this. Like, oh my God, how could such a monster? He doesn't really want background checks for kids. He's been banned. This is all about him being banned. At no
Wait,
point did
hang
I.
on, hang on, hang on. You are so unpopular that Wizards of the Coast themselves made a guide on how to shut you down after advocating for children's protection.
No, employees of Wizards of the Coast, so not official.
Okay.
Yeah, A.E. Marling is one of their employees, publicly posted it, and then a website called Hipsters of the Coast published it. And you
Oh,
don't need like
goddamn.
10 or 15 people to flag somebody to, you know what I mean? They flagged videos down during all of this. They shut down my entire the quartering channel by
Uh-huh.
mass flagging it. Every single one of those strikes I appealed and won, but there was a period about a month where I had not only I couldn't upload videos, but I also couldn't live stream, earn money that way. It was really insane how they didn't just disagree with me; they wanted me silenced. They wanted me financially hurt, and all this because they didn't like my message of can we not have convicted sex offenders running game stores? And it would be a simple. It felt like I felt like one of those things that was going to be received like, holy crap, how come we're not? How come we haven't been doing this? This is insane. Of course we should be doing this. Holy crap. It was
Well,
instead
and
met
and
with,
from what I understand, there were several other stores who had already done this. Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh had already adopted the same policy, right?
yeah, exactly. Um, and it was funny because it took like a shitpost army. Some of the people I see in chat, basically every time Wizards of the Coast tweeted,
Yes.
every single reply was like, "Yo, but what about those pedos? Yo, what about those pedos?" Thousands of phone calls into the Hasbro call center, emails, all of this, like everything I had and everything one of my subscribers had to beg them to institute background checks, and they finally did it. Um,
Well, never underestimate the shit posters anymore. We got a president in office.
yeah, right,
Um,
exactly.
that's Donald Trump is a shit poster president. Sorry, guys. Um, that's a win. But have you found this kind of reluctance with any other platform? I mean, we're talking about Wizards of the Coast. I know you're into other gaming platforms. Is Warhammer that this unreasonable as well, or is it just Magic?
Warhammer is for now okay. There's been a couple of like insurrections into the community, but they've all been kind of rebuffed. Obviously, Marvel Comics, the comics industry is like this. At Paizao is really bad. There are
Ah,
definitely, I mean, you look at the company that runs um, Cards Against Humanity. You know, they're like radical leftists, which
they are
again,
radical, and I actually have a story about Dungeons and Dragons.
go for it. Yeah.
I got I got kicked off of their community Facebook page. I got booted off um, because I shared a lovely character. I don't have this up, but no, it was a. I posted just a character concept of a high elf who was an Orcs Lives Matter activist, and they banned me. They banned me from the page.
Yeah, well, you can't have it. You can't make jokes, dude. You should have known better. I mean, the Wizards of the Coast is bad, but D&D is like beyond saving. The people that run D&D are just openly posting shit like I mean, there are people in R&D for this company that like regularly post about white privilege on their Twitter feeds, all this stuff. Um, you know, it's just your typical we hate our customers attitude that we see in Marvel, that we see.
Yeah, but the gaming is inherently conservative in the sense that there is a clear good and evil guy. Progressive postmodernism doesn't work because if there's no evil bad guy, who do you fight?
The customer.
Oh God.
You know what I mean? I mean, literally. Um, you know, this game, like Magic the Gathering, for example, I mean, this you can call this a generalization, but if you've walked the tournament floors like I have, where there's 10,000 people, it's like 98% white and male.
Yeah.
Let's go 95, okay, to be fair, or to be like more uh, a bigger margin of error, and to have all these people many people, not all, many people working for these companies that publicly post like, this A.E. Marling guy who writes text for the Magic cards is like an Antifa supporter. They've got, I mean, it's just, you start digging into these people, and there are many, many, many people in positions of power that are radical leftists. And like I said, like I started to say before, I legit don't care what your personal ideologies are, but when they seep into the game, or
You
you
kill
start
the
turning
game.
on your customers, then I have a problem.
Yeah. So when did you first notice this social justice influence in like Magic the Gathering gaming? And when did you start Magic, uh, collecting Magic and playing Magic?
Oh, well, I've been playing Magic since like 94, since just before Revise. So I've been playing for 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the social justice stuff started probably 2 years before the election, 1 year before the election, and then really ramped up during the election cycle, and now ever since. Um,
Ah,
there are a lot
because
of people that can't take the L, and so they have to fight. They have to keep fighting like everywhere they are. I think. Um,
boy, hey. I remember when I started. I started around sixth edition, but I didn't actually start collecting until Torment in the Odyssey block, and I was I loved that set because it was right before the Switch when they got rid of Mana Burn, and there was just so much there was so much interplay between the cards and Mana Burn and all the mechanics that you could build up in that set. Um, so, but it's good to hear that it's only started that recently because it means that there really is, if we have enough pushback time to save the brand, as it were.
well, we just saw their quarter 1 sales. They're down like 30% year over year, or
Oh,
22%, and they don't care.
that they don't care. How do you not care about that significant a drop?
Marvel doesn't care. Comics industry's on life support, but they don't care as long as they're pushing their message. And in Marvel's case, Marvel Comics doesn't have to make a ton of money because they have billions a year in licensing. But
Mm.
with Magic, mm, it's
Well,
possible
I
that
mean,
Hasbro will step in.
yeah, but what if they try to take their brand because it's not working in the marketplace? What if they try to push it on Hollywood, knowing that the fans would see like a Magic movie? You know?
They started to do that with Fox, and I think that the project died. There's no doubt
Uh,
they would love to make a Magic movie, and I'm sure it would be like it would be a cringe fest. It would be tailored probably towards 12-year-old kids, which I
well,
guess
hey,
is fine. Like,
like that Dungeons and Dragons show we never speak of.
right, exactly. Um, it's such a weird phenomena for me to see, and I talk to Richard from Diversity in Comics all the time too, and we talk about this. Like, nowhere else other than the gaming world that I can see do you see companies so openly hating their customers. It's so weird. Um, like those guys from I started to say that before, Cards Against Humanity. They're insane. They're like they're just nuts. Oh, we bought this land on the border so Trump can't build his wall. Like you're dumb. If you want, he'll just annex the land back, and you won't do shit about it. And two, why would you want to alienate your customers like that? It doesn't matter if
Yeah,
you
your
agree
your,
or
your
disagree.
customers are awful shitlord people who want the damn wall. If you're gonna isolate your conservative audience, you're gonna lose a good portion of your paying customers.
Yeah, but it's crazy how like some of these people, I mean, they will say they don't care, you know. Um, and it's absolutely ludicrous to me that if I so strongly believed in something politically, and I was in that marketplace where I'm selling something, right? I don't understand how you would. Money is power. So sell your game to everybody and then make quiet donations in the back end to help push your cause or whatever. Don't
Well,
they're
yeah,
just so
that's
stupid. They can't resist.
yeah, and it's the celebrity effect. They think that because they're popular that they can drive a message when Americans actually, well, everyone around the world actually respects it the other way around. You're an entertainer first. You're a provider first. Your politics are your own, especially if you're in the economic sphere. That I don't know how they got this inflated sense of ego.
Yeah, well, I mean that's exactly because they don't really have any they didn't they haven't accomplished anything in their life, I don't think. And they think it's the same thing with the crazy blue check marks. Like these people get a job for Marvel, they get their blue check mark, and all of a sudden they think people have to give two shits about what they have to say. The real reason they're following you is because the first line of your Twitter bio says that you draw for Spider-Man. And then you look at Dan Slott's Twitter, just pull it up on any day, and it's just like insane Trump derangement syndrome nonstop. And he's got like tens of thousands of followers. They're not following you for your political dude. They're following you because you draw Spider-Man. Now look at a guy's feed like that, and then look at like Ethan Van Scriver, who's always posting images and shit he draws. Like that's what fans want to see. They don't want to see what you think about politics. Nobody does. Unless they're looking for confirmation bias. Other than that, you know?
Indeed, indeed. Which I'm sorry, but the market for liberal shit posters is not large enough to accommodate to. They're not good at it.
Yeah,
Um,
in my
they
experience,
they
no.
try. They really try, but it is it is a fluctuating and shrinking market. I would not go for the liberal shit poster.
Yeah, I mean it's and I've said all along, okay, my default, what would make me happy is if I had no fucking idea who these people wanted to vote for. That's what I want. I want to buy your shit, and I don't want to read an article about how woke you are now because you have a transgender character in the game. I don't care. Nobody cares. Um, I want to hear about how you're fixing the card stock. I want to hear about writing lore. I want to hear about that kind of shit. I don't want to see that you're signing some solidarity for Hillary Clinton petition like they did around the election. Like I don't, and it's not
Uh,
even that whether I disagree or agree. If it were the other way around, I wouldn't want to see it either. I didn't like seeing all that stuff, all these like dick riders for Obama during his run either. I just want to buy my game. I have enough politics in this world.
yeah. Speaking of preferences, um, what is your favorite of 40K race that you like to play as?
Well, I'm just getting into the game, so it would have to be one of the only two that I have, which are Space Marines and I just bought like the welcome kit, so it only came with two. Arch has been
Okay,
trying to get me to play, but I haven't played much. They're all pretty. I like Skaven. I like playing Skaven in the
the
we played
fantasy.
a role play. Yeah, I
Okay.
enjoyed that.
I myself am very prejudiced towards the Necrons.
Okay.
Anything that can bring soldiers back to life is my cup of tea. Um, but I preferred them in like third and fourth edition where they weren't Tomb Kings; they were actually, Lovecraftian death machines. Um, because they switched up the lore with the Necrons, and I was not a fan. But but yes, Necrons are my team. But as far as the Marines go, I would highly recommend you get into Blood Angels.
Okay. Yeah, I hear a lot of good things about them.
They are basically the bloodthirsty vampire maniacs of the Space Marine legions. So I would highly recommend Blood Angels if you want to go expensive and durable. go Grey Knights.
Okay. Yeah, I'm hoping that I can have more time to enjoy games uh this summer, but we'll see. It's always something. Like for the last 2 years, I just haven't had any time. Uh like if I wasn't banned from Magic, like I don't know if I would have even had any time to go play. Um
Eeh,
so it's nuts.
I'm yeah, that we need to have, work and pleasure. You need to work hard and play hard.
Yeah, you're not wrong. In Wisconsin where I live, it's like you kind of turtle up a little bit in winter. There's not a lot going on. And
Uh-huh.
you know, when summer comes around, it's like festival season, everything opens up, and so you party, you spend a lot of time um just having fun. And so we're about into that season now, starting in about June.
Yeah, the summer is just when the human senses just go, "Oh, I'm awake, I'm active now. Let's do all the things." Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and I understand what you're talking about. My wife actually says when winter hits, she likes to quote unquote turtle.
Yeah.
And trust me, we turtle. We stay in the house, and um, even with my girls that I'm raising, I love having them. I bought them their first sets of dice for their characters, and we have a little kids campaign going on with their cousin. It helps stimulate the imagination. It helps them. It just helps them grow as people. They're not what 8 years old, so there's room for play for us all in this medium. We just need to kind of remove the politics away from it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this I'm gonna sound like kind of an old fuddy-duddy here, but there's not um there's not enough emphasis put on imagination these days. And I think gaming is an important mind exercise and strategy and relationship building. And I think the first inclination for many parents these days, not all, and maybe not even a majority, but many I see, is to like cram an iPad in their face, and
Oh, I
and
know. I hate that. We made the mistake of letting my girls get iPads for Christmas, and it was a mistake. It was a horrible, horrible mistake. Which is why I'm going to be teaching my daughter Magic so she can get her face out of the tablet and
yeah,
into something more constructive. And deck building is the most like there is a clear analogy between building a deck and building a business in
yeah,
terms of timing and resources and who can do what, when and where. How are you going to get this out? The things that interweave and connect. There are strong correlations there, and it helps spark the imagination. It helps them plan and set things in order. Um, so so yes, creativity is important in stimulating the economy, and it starts at home. That's where all of that starts.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And it's like a critical thought, is very important. And I'm not sure that this generation is very good at it. I work with a lot of younger millennials, and they suck at it. Um, I would say, I mean, technically, I think I'm a millennial, but I'm on the old end, and it's just I work with a lot of really dumb 22-year-olds that I can't really trust to make their own decisions, and I just wonder, you know, or you give them a little bit of rope, and instead of like running with it, they hang themselves. And
yeah,
it's
I was fortunate in college to have a critical writing class where my teacher was an absolute cold-hearted bitch, and it was the
nice.
best thing for me. No, I'm
Yeah,
serious. Like she was maniacal. Like we read the symposium, and she would just walk over to a group of people and go, "You're looking beautiful. You're
that's
going to write on beauty. What is beauty? Read this essay and tell me what beauty is." And we all came back. She had us present each of our essays, and she stood up in front of us and said, "You are all wrong. Everything that you were supposed to cover is the good according to this symposium. Learn your shit, read critically." And I'm like, I hate you, but I love you at the same time.
Well, yeah, you need somebody to push you, right? That's kind of the thing. And it's I don't know. It can't be dying everywhere. It just feels like, it's not great. And some of that is the culture of the nail that sticks out gets hammered down, and that's what the, society is, with social media makes it a lot easier to find the ones that are sticking out and to publicly shame them, and people get punished for making mistakes, and then they get afraid to make mistakes, and then they become useless individuals.
Well, and on that same note, there's a real world out there where things are cutthroat and competitive and cruel and mean. On the other hand, there is no one willing to show tough love. It,
Yeah.
it's it's either you're soft and squishy and warm and inviting, or you're just this harsh reality that no one expects coming from nowhere. And there is no medium. There's no middle ground anymore. And that's kind of what the middle class was supposed to be. That's what, the suburban life is supposed to be. That kind of middle ground where people can be safe yet exposed. Um, it really is that absence of tough love that has made us suffer and produces this uh, weakened generation, I suppose.
Yeah, it's probably not untrue, right? It's probably, and I think like all things, they are, um, everything's cyclical, and at some point, um, I'm certain that it'll snap back the other way, right? These people are gonna grow up and have kids, and they're gonna remember how hard it was for them. They're gonna end up in a shit job because they didn't really learn a skill or a trade or how to go out and do things for themselves. So they're gonna have kids, and they're gonna be extra hard on them. And
Yeah, and
and
then
those kids are come out and they'll be all right.
yeah, that is exactly what me and my wife are doing. Like, we don't do anything for our kids, and you can tell that the rest of their students or their fellow classmates have everything done for them.
Mhm.
And but no, we are one of those parents where you have to do the work. No, we're not going to give you the answer. Yes, you have to sit there and think about what is in front of you. Um, and when they kind of slack off, we make it we make it harder. We're getting them acclimated so that challenge is routine. And um, that there's just a need for that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, my parents were. The thing is, I just saw a chart going around the other day about like how much time parents spend with their kid by country, and the U.S. is like skyrocketing from this like helicopter parent mentality where, you know, kids stop keeping score. Parents are just like, my parents didn't spend much time with me, so I'm going to spend all the time in the world with my kid. What they're really doing is not their kid's not independent. They rely on them for everything, and then when they get out there, and they have to compete against others who didn't have that, they're going to get crushed.
Well, yeah, and on that same note, Utah had to pass a law saying, yeah, parents don't have to be with their children 24/7. They can go to school on their own. They
Yeah.
can, go to the park on their own. They don't have to be the helicopter parent because these people infested society to the point where they could call CPS if you weren't a helicopter parent and have your kids taken away. And that's insane.
Yeah.
That is absolutely insane. Um, Kids need to be free to, make mistakes. And, obviously you want to protect them. But there are safe ways of letting them do that or having them be protected without you physically being there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, So yeah, what other do you see any real direction for the future, like things that the fans can do to kind of, I don't know, take a hold of these problems that we see?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the adage of like voting with your wallet, but it's not as effective as you might think because most people, they really love their hobbies, and it's like hard to give up. Um, what I see happening and what we saw happen last night with the comic book from Diversity in Comics and Ethan Van Sciver and John Malin are three men that don't really care for the existing, the way comics are right now, doing $200,000 in sales uh, via Kickstarter. So I think a lot of
Hmm.
these people, a lot of people's, and that would put it like in the top couple of graphic novels for the month, if I understand the numbers correctly. So they basically outsold all but maybe two graphic novels in the entire country doing it on their own. And the I see that as the more reasonable solution is more people will pick other hobbies and will move on, and will work with companies that don't want to be political. And a lot of people started reading different comics. People who like comics still like comics even if they don't like Squirrel Girl and all these jank like SJW comics. So they go find something else. And companies like what Icelandic Press or whatever, they the company that, or I think it's Icelandic. I don't know, the company that does Megademia and other books, they just get more popular and people start spending their money elsewhere. So for Magic, we saw 23% decline in revenue in a year in which they had the most amount of products they've ever had on the market. And I
Yeah.
suspect that, you know, quarter two will probably be okay because this recent set went over pretty well. Um, but the player base is declining. People are finding other things to do, other things to spend their money on. People are living card games are really growing because they focus on deck building, things like that, deck building games, and you don't have to spend a fortune. You can buy a whole set of like Star Realms for $100 and draft it and play forever. And then they put out a
Yeah.
small expansion. You buy that for $10 and you have a whole new game.
Hmm.
And you don't have to spend $500 a deck, for a new deck every 4 months playing Magic. So I think a lot of those games are gaining
Okay.
popularity.
So in terms of comic books, are there any in particular you would recommend for our listeners?
Mr. Miracle is really good. This last run that John Malin did on cable was awesome. My friend Megademia is really good. Those are three pretty good ones. The White Dark Knight, the White Knight series is pretty good. I know the name can be confusing, but that's pretty good. Um,
All right.
yeah, those are all pretty good.
I actually have an old recommendation. Garth Ennis did Preacher.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Preacher's great.
he
Yeah.
also did another one afterwards called The Boys, which hardly anyone knows about, but
Okay.
it's
Yeah, I'll check it out.
amazing. You haven't read The Boys?
I don't think so. No.
Dude, it out Preacher's Preacher.
All right,
No,
I'll
I'm
have to check it
serious.
out. I believe
I'm
you. I
dead.
believe you.
Enos himself admits to this, and I'll tell you, I made the mistake of reading The Boys first, and I read Preacher expecting The Boys, and it was a letdown.
Oh, they have 72 issues. Okay. It's a
Yeah,
strong run.
no, the Boys is fantastic. The premise is amazing. It's about a world where superheroes are real, but they're actually real. They're not it's not idealized in any way, shape, or form.
The great thing is too, they have the trade paperbacks out by now. You could buy it hardcover for $30. I just bought it off Amazon while we were talking.
Yeah, and no, I'm serious. Get The Boys. You should do a review on it. It is amazing. Very dark, but very well. It's Garth Ennis, so it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I
Um,
prefer the darker worlds. Um, that's just my personal preference.
well, yeah. I mean, did you ever get into Johann Vasquez.
I don't think so.
Johann Vasquez did the Invader Zim series on Nickelodeon. He
Okay.
also he also did a comic series called Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. Oh, if you can find it and if you can get it, read Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. It is just full of teenage angst and, well, a homicidal maniac who draws a comic called Happy Noodle Boy, who's very popular among the homeless and insane. Um,
Uh,
so it's quirky, it's weird, it's hilarious. It's a great it's a great little ride.
all right, I'll check it
Um,
out.
yes, you should do that. Um, so in terms of magic, I've got something here. I personally have a pet project. It's not even this is not shilling because I have no intention of selling this anytime soon. But I have I'm working on a Magic the Gathering role play, and it's legit. Um, I built it from the ground up, and you have to take a character quiz to find out um, what kind of what kind of magic you cast, what colors you possess. Would you like to find out what kind of mage you are?
That sounds pretty cool. Yeah.
All right. Um, it's a 5 question quiz, and I'll be able to tell you what kind of mage you turn out to be.
All
Okay.
right. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Number one. What quality do you look for slash want? Let me rephrase that. What quality do you look for slash want which turns you on most in a lover? A. You're aroused by their intelligence. B. They give you all that you ask for. I mean everything, sometimes more. C. The hot sex. D. They inspire you to be a better you. Or E. The primal chemistry between you two.
E.
E. All right. Um, you turn on the news. Which story instantly makes you feel the most depressed? A. Your favorite politician becomes mired in scandal. B. The death of a legendary musician. C. A small town participating in a mass book burning. D. Another OJ case has been acquitted. Or E. The death of a faithful police dog.
Oh, E for sure.
E for sure.
Mm.
All right. You have gained supreme victory over your arch nemesis. How do you punish them? You banish them from the kingdom forever, and they never return. B. The forces of nature swallowing them whole and imprisoning them. C. They are burned alive, and the flames reach the moon. D. You trap them in their own mind to live in their own created hell. Or E. You suck their power dry and enjoy feeling their soul flit inside your coil.
Mm. Can you repeat those? Sorry.
A is you banish them.
Yep.
B is they're swallowed up by the earth. C is they're burnt to a crisp and the flames reach the moon. D, you trap them in their own mind. Or E, you suck their life force dry.
Probably D.
D? Okay. And 5. Someone has stolen your cookie. How do you respond? A, take it right back because you're bigger than they are anyway. B, be nice and let them have your cookie. You do nothing because the real one is in your pocket. D, you beat back the cookie from their hands and lick it. Or E, you do nothing. You are waiting for them to take the poison cookie. You wave and ask how it tastes.
E.
E, okay. Here's how you pan out. You are a green mage with pieces of blue and black. So I don't even know if there's a category for that. But yeah, you're half green, and the other quarters are black and blue.
All right. Yeah, that seems That seems pretty good. I think the oh, hold on 1 second. Sorry. 1 second.
We have been put on hold. And anyways, because we don't like dead air, just if you're in the chat box, just feel free to leave your comments or any questions that you might have for our interviewee. Let's see what we've got going on here. And what do we have going on here? Anything going on? Anything at all? Let's see what's going on in the comments here. All right, low res, give me your question. Anyways, low res, give me your question. Oh, okay, I see it. People are starting to create non-SJW material, stuff like Jawbreakers and comic books. Okay. Do you think some people would be good enough / ready to start an MTG alternative? I personally think that they are. I personally think that they are more than ready. And that's actually a good point. There are plenty of minds out there who are more than able to think of and produce that kind of art, that kind of mechanism. And it's an insane amount of work to do it, but it is possible, and there are people out there. Again, they're more than capable. They've shown that. We just need to find them and support them. We need to make sure that when we find them, that they're not that they know that we want their product. Is really what it comes down to. So we're still waiting for him to get back online. And unfortunately, I can't go back and read the comments, or else it'll cause an echo back into the video. Because I can hear it loud and clear on my end. So yeah. Let me see if there's another way I can get to your questions, because I really want to see if you guys have any more. Let me see if there's another way. There we go. I can do it.
Sorry about that.
We've got this. Oh, cool. We were just taking questions from the audience.
Oh, good. Yeah. Sorry about that. My dad called about Well, my dad never calls. Like he doesn't even have a cell phone. So I was like, oh, who's dead? But it was just about Mother's
Oh
Day.
my God. Okay. It's just about it's about Mother's Day.
Yeah, don't
That
forget
that
if you're out
is.
there. That's this weekend, and if you're in the States,
You need to remember, or else it'll be your head on a pike. Unless you have a wife who is awesome like mine, who tells me deadpan, "Don't give me nothing," which is of course code to get her something.
That's right. It's got to be something.
It's got to be something. We're actually working through finances, so for Valentine's Day, I just wrote her like the romantic love letter that I can't share to the public. Um, but just the little things that truly matter.
Yeah, well, I mean,
So,
you reach a point. You got kids, so I mean, we reach a point too. Like even where I'm at with my wife is like we get if we want to get something, we get something for the house, or we've been waiting on getting a TV or something like. We'll just
or
use
paying
that.
off that credit card,
Yeah,
something really
exactly.
adulty.
Yep, yep.
Um, so no, we had people asking if we knew of any rising games that were similar to Magic the Gathering that we would want to put our money into and hopefully like replace, or any companies that we would want to give our attention to see what they come up with.
I stand by the products put out by White Wizard games. That would be Star Realms and Hero Realms. Both are good games, um, run by at least a company that doesn't cram things in. Um, in terms of trading card games, I'm not sure that I would invest a large sum of money in anything going forward because I just think the medium's dying. I mean, like people will always trade cards and stuff like that, but I mean, Hearthstone and Gwent and what's the other one? Hex and Duelist. I mean, there's a million options online.
Yeah.
Um, Eternal is a fun game. Eternal card game. These
Hmm.
are games online that I like to play. But
And they're all card games.
yeah, those all are. Yeah, I play mostly card games. Board games, I'm a little. I like deck builders. So like, do you see Upper Deck, the company Upper Deck? They've got
Okay.
um, deck building games like the Versus system. That's pretty good.
Hmm.
Um, Encounters, which they're coming out with a digital version of. That's
Well,
another
just
deck builder.
just the Marvel deck building games are really popular from what I last saw.
Yeah,
Um,
and you get everything you
so
need for in one purchase, and you can buy expansions if you want, but you're not like on a treadmill.
yeah, and I'm trying to think of other popular games. One of the ones that comes to mind are things like Settlers of Catan, Pandemic. Um, but that's more along the board line, the board game side. Um,
Oh, the board game world is booming right now.
it is. It is. It's insane how popular these things are getting. Um, which
People spend a lot of money on a nice board game too.
they will. Especially if it has in fact, one of my favorite board games. That this is embarrassing. The Rich Dad Poor Dad um uh rat race, their
Oh
mouse
yeah,
race game.
sure, sure.
That is a fantastic. Like I'd rather play that than Monopoly, and
Yeah,
it's incredibly on the surface it's boring, but when you actually get to playing the game, holy shit, it's fantastic.
there's a lot of
Um,
little self-contained titles that are really good. Zombie Side, really, really good. Boss Monster is like a sub $20 game. If you like old school, like that retro arcade feel. Munchkin is really good.
oh my gosh, Munchkin. Munchkin is like a legend. Like who
Yeah,
forgets about Munchkin?
yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of ways to spend your money, and once you realize that, like, you get in. I really like these deck builders 'cause I have like five of 'em. Oh, Epic Card Games, another one. That's another deck builder I've got back. I'm just looking at the studio behind me. Um,
Nice.
so Light Seekers for young kids, younger kids, I would think that's doing really well. Um, So, Warhammer is a little more adult and it's also pretty expensive. But
It's also expensive, but they also came out with the card game.
oh yeah, I heard, but I got mixed reviews from Arch, so I didn't do a video on it, but
Okay.
maybe it's good. He's
Well,
not a
the
he's not a card game guy, so maybe he just doesn't like that.
well, it's weird for me because I was looking because there's no way in hell I can afford the time or the resources to dedicate to a Warhammer hobby ever in my life. So I saw the card game, I'm like, maybe, maybe I'll entertain it. Um, but no, I'm honestly just gonna stick with the when I get to teaching the girls, I'll teach them Magic. I'll go to a card shop, get them the free decks, and start them off from there. Um,
I mean, Pokemon's a good trading card game too, in my opinion.
yeah, but that one's for some odd reason because I grew up with Pokemon and we didn't ever actually play the game. We just
Me
kind
too,
of,
but just collected the cards. That's what.
yeah.
But honestly, they're online. Their Pokemon TCGO is really well done, and I mean, if you buy booster packs, you get redemptions, so you get the fun of like opening packs twice, and uh, excuse me, and so there's a lot of people competing in the trading card space. That's why I think the whole pool is draining. And now, I mean, Pokemon went through a huge boom when Pokemon Go came out, and now it's
Yes.
completely fallen off.
Yeah, it gave them. I've had the most awkward experiences with Pokemon Go because I work security and I do security for a hotel chain.
Mm,
And people doing Pokemon Go, like I've had people who live in the hotel like walk around doing Pokemon Go, and it is just the most awkward. Like
yeah,
someone is walking up to your establishment, and people don't, people just want to have fun and catch Pokemon in real life, and that's kind of cool. I mean, you finally got gamers off the couch and exercising. Great, kudos to you. But I'm not sure we should have sent these people into society. I don't think we were ready for them. They were ready for us. I don't think we were ready for them.
yeah, yeah. It is interesting. I think I mean, that seems like it's dead. I mean, people still play from what I can tell, but um, yeah, Grim Monolith in chat, Pokemon TCG has fallen by 50%. Yeah, I think in some areas maybe even worse. Um, Magic, I think Magic will stand the test of time. It may peter out eventually, and what'll happen is it'll trade hands. Hasbro will sell it, and then somebody else will just ride it into the sunset. But the concept in the world that's getting more and more connected, the attractiveness of driving into your local card shop, paying $4 for a booster pack, and opening it up and sitting down with somebody who smells like bo. I mean, I just don't see this generation's kids finding that at all interesting.
No, but in today's society, I understand why they would need something like Magic to escape to. And I think that's really what's driving their sales, if any, today is the culture today is so it they're making it more social justicey, but it's not as bad as real life, and so it's a weird dichotomy where there's still some value in escape, just not as
Well,
much as there used to be.
yeah, I mean, and there's just so many more options to escape, and that's kind of, it's the generation of Magic players now will always be getting their kids or whatever their friends into the game.
That is also true.
And as bad as Marvel Comics is, it's not like they're not cranking out 50 titles or 100 titles a month. So I mean, they're still there. Old heads like me will buy less and less, but there's always somebody new. and Magic has like an MMO coming out, MMORPG or whatever. They'll have, they'll have all these different avenues. Now they're 10 years too late.
I don't see that going over very well. I don't know how they'd be able to handle all the hype and the promise of controlling a planeswalker in the real realm. I don't see how that would translate effectively on a computer screen.
I don't know, but I could tell you this much. If it was even as good as like the Final Fantasy TCG, I'd play the shit out of it. Not the TCG, but the MMO. And that game wasn't that great. You know what I mean? But
Huh.
I would play that. And I would play the shit out of that.
Because I'm as I said, I'm working on a Magic RPG just for fun, just for kicks, because I'm autistic and I can't help myself.
Hmm.
And it was so much of a trouble just figuring out, okay, how are they going to get their mana? How are they going to do this and do that? And trying to type code and put that on in like an interactive virtual world, forget it. There's no way.
Well,
Um,
a marketer, so I don't often don't concern myself with the world of the programmer. So I mean, I'm willfully ignorant on it. Like certainly, there are mechanics of the game that the more autists like you might be annoyed by, but there's a lot more people like me who are just like, oh, I get to cast these spells and I have a gate, like just like in, if it was basically like World of Warcraft but with planeswalkers and it came out 5 years ago, it would have been a huge success. Putting it
yeah,
out now, I'm not sure.
I agree with you, and I can see how that would work. But when it comes to trying to compare to what you do with building a magic deck, playing your mana, organizing your spells, I don't see how they can make it as immersive as that.
Yeah,
And
yeah, maybe
that
not.
that's that's just what you live for. You live for playing your enchantments, getting your passives um, activated so that you can initiate the combo and just dominate the field. Um, but hey, you know what? It, I can still see how it can happen. I just don't see how it can be done successfully.
Sure.
Um,
And
but
like I
hey,
said, I think interest is not what it was 5 years ago. And anybody who would pour real money into that have already played MMOs to death. Um,
this is
and
true.
and kids nowadays aren't interested. Although I shouldn't say Monster Hunter did really well, but I wouldn't say that's quite the open world MMO that that felt on rails at times to me. Um, but who knows? Who knows what these wacky kids are gonna do?
I know. We just need to, focus on saving the next generation, and maybe there will be hope there. Um,
You gotta believe.
yes, we gotta believe, and it's good to know that as we are raising them, that they are safe from pedos in the Magic arena.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm happy for that. If for all the shit posting, at least I can hang my hat on that.
Amen, man. Well, we're gonna come to a close, and just thank you for coming on and taking the time out to talk with us.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for having me on, bud.
All right, talk to you later.